Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Facebook Live. My name is Wendy Myers, and I do these Facebook Lives every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Today, we're going to be talking about cesium toxicity, but specifically, we're going to be talking about the recent nuclear accident in Russia and how that's impacting your thyroid and your health, your energy levels. We're going to be mentioning Fukushima crabs, radioactive iodine, radioactive cesium, what's going on with those things, where you're getting them in your environment, and how they're impacting you guys. So I'm going to launch into this broadcast. I want you guys to post any questions that you have whatsoever that come up while I'm talking, any questions that you have about detoxification, any information you can help to share with the other people that are watching, because I want to help you guys detox. I want to help you guys identify toxins that are contributing to your health issues. I want these light bulbs to go off in your head. Aha, that's what I need to be doing. That's what I'm missing. That's what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing all this stuff for my health, and things aren't really going as planned. Because I know so many of you guys are just doing so many things for your health, spinning your wheels, buying expensive organic food, taking supplements, you're exercising, you're sleeping, you're just doing everything for your health and are not really reaching your health goals. So I know from researching toxins and heavy metals over the last 10 years that heavy metals and chemicals contribute to every conceivable symptom and health diagnosis. So I'm here to help you make those distinctions and put you on that road to detox your body and reclaim your health. So today we're going to be talking about why Russia is covering up the severity of the latest nuclear accident, and how Norway has found traces of radioactive iodine 1 week after the Russian nuclear accident. There's reports of that. How radioactive cesium and iodine impact your thyroid and your health. Symptoms of cesium toxicity, including cramps and fatigue, and why most people that I test have cesium toxicity, and how to remove cesium from your body. So let's get to the juiciest part of this broadcast. So why is Russia covering up the severity of this latest nuclear accident? So there was on August 8th, energy company. There was on August 8th, the company is called Rosatom. They announced that 2 military personnel had been killed in an explosion at a military testing site outside of Severodonetsk, at the city in the White Sea with restricted access for foreign visitors. And, it's like most countries, Russia, they don't want the embarrassment or to be held responsible for deaths or health issues or clean up from other countries and the costs involved in that. So this seems to be, the norm for any nuclear accident, not just Russia. And I'm going to put on my glasses while I'm reading this. So in the aftermath of this explosion that happened, this brought another familiar Russian concern, the possibility of a cover-up of a nuclear event. So within hours of this explosion, scientists clocked a spike in radiation, though the report was cleared from its website shortly thereafter. And by Friday, following August 8th, a Russian maritime authority had cut off shipping access in the surrounding bay for a month. There was a nuclear non-proliferation group identified a specialized ship frequently used to carry liquid radioactive waste within the exclusion zone area of the explosion. Pharmacies in the region began to run out of iodine, which is, a first line of defense against radiation sickness, because it blocks radioactive iodine entering and destroying your thyroid. And a Russian news site published a video in which personnel injured by the explosion were taken to a hospital in Moscow in ambulances sealed with plastic in an apparent attempt to prevent contamination. And an evacuation of a nearby village was planned and then canceled. So by Saturday, Rosatom was correcting its casualty count, adding that 5 scientists had tragically died testing a new special product and confirming that radioactive materials were involved in the explosion. But the state's vague confirmation, detailing the explosion of an isotope power source for a liquid-fueled rocket engine, did more to ignite inquiry than to quell speculation. So U.S. intelligence officials suspect that an event was related to a prototype of Russia's proposed Skyfall missile system, which the New York Times describes as a cruise missile that Vladimir Putin has boasted can reach any corner of the earth because of its partially powered by a small nuclear reactor. So officials in this Russian northern city of Argakelsk, well, I can't really pronounce that, where the nuclear accident occurred, have acknowledged that one of the doctors who helped treat victims of this recent mystery explosion at a military test site was found to have the radioactive isotope cesium-137 in his body, which is released when making nuclear energy or when there's nuclear accidents like Chernobyl. So despite this doctor's exposure to patients from an area where a short-term radiation spike was recorded, the local health ministry blamed the trace amounts of the isotope on bad seafood the doctor had eaten on a recent holiday in Thailand. Fukushima crabs was the explanation. So I don't know about that, but that sounds really fishy to me. So this suppression of information, the proposed evacuation, the unclear comments from the state have all been spurring inevitable comparisons to the Chernobyl disaster. That's the 1986 disaster in which the government delayed its reaction, misreported radiation levels, resulting in profound levels of radiation exposure. The 1986 meltdown is far from a thing of the past. In late 2018, Ukraine inaugurated their Chernobyl new safe confinement structure, which is a tornado-proof metal shelter larger than a football stadium designed to enclose the radiation still leaking from the reactors to this day. The issue is, nuclear power is amazing. It's a cleaner source of energy. But the problem is if there are nuclear accidents, scientists don't know how to clean it up. And they still don't, because Chernobyl is still leaking radiation. And even 14 years after the Chernobyl disaster, people living on this cesium-137 contaminated land in Belarus, where the accident happened, and in Russia and other parts of that area, Ukraine, they were diagnosed with health issues like weakened hearts, gastrointestinal abnormalities, chronic blood disorders, thyroid cancers, autoimmune thyroid disease, and low functioning. And because the unfortunate nuclear accident in March of 2011 in Japan, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant on the east coast of Japan, that suffered a tsunami, and tons of radioactive cesium was and still is being released into the ocean, and this continues today. There's no way for anyone to stop it. They don't know how to stop this, so it just continues. So it releases radioactive iodine, radioactive cesium, and radioactive strontium into the environment. And so cesium is really the biggest concern. And radioactive cesium, it's created by the fission of uranium and fuel rods in nuclear power plants. And it's also produced upon the detonation of nuclear weapons or when there's an accident. And there's a lot of different symptoms of cesium toxicity that a lot of people are experiencing today. I've tested positive for cesium. Almost every single client that I tests positive for cesium. And so this is something that people really want to pay attention to. This is why I've been doing so many Facebook Lives and articles and podcasts and whatnot about cesium. It's something a lot of people don't really know about, but you need to pay attention to this because it can dramatically impact your energy production, your thyroid, and other things, other aspects of your health Namely, there's toxic effects of cesium for the liver, intestines, heart, and kidneys. But some of the primary symptoms of cesium toxicity are chronic fatigue, and it interferes in numerous processes that affect energy production, namely suppression of enzymes involved in the energy exchange of cells. Cesium also causes cramps. It can cause decreased appetite. I certainly don't have that problem, but that is potentially a symptom. Cesium can also cause nausea. It can cause diarrhea, vomiting. These are at high levels. It can cause headaches, seizures, and most notably cardiac arrhythmias. And the direct influence of cesium on the heart is really due to its selective accumulation within heart cells. And so it loves to accumulate in the heart. And this is due perhaps to the intense operation of sodium potassium pumps in the heart muscle, and the fact that cesium displaces potassium in the body and blocks potassium function. So the heart, it needs lots of potassium to operate correctly, to beat correctly. And when you have cesium entering the body and displace potassium in the cardiac muscles, logically you're going to have cardiac arrhythmias. And so we can also get genetic damage from cesium toxicity as well. But most notably, the main symptom is fatigue. And part of that is because it displaces potassium in the body. And potassium deficiency can cause potassium deficiency-like symptoms like weakness, muscle spasms and cramps, digestive problems, muscle aches and stiffness, tingling and numbness, even breathing difficulties and mood changes. So I know a lot of you guys deal with cramps from time to time. And if you have cramps and you're taking magnesium and you're taking potassium, which are some of the most common, minerals people take to alleviate cramps, if you're taking that stuff and you're increasing the dosage and doing all these things and it's not being relieved, you may want to consider the possibility that you have cesium and thallium in your tissues, and that's why your muscles aren't working correctly. That you can't get the potassium into the muscles to relieve the cramps or the spasms if you have the cesium and thallium in your tissues. So I have ways to detox it. So we're pulling out cesium and thallium and pushing potassium in, and then over time that starts to alleviate. Those symptoms start to alleviate. So let's talk about how you're exposed to cesium. So you can absorb cesium by eating, drinking, breathing, or making skin contact with cesium or things containing its compounds. So we're talking right now about nuclear fallout from testing and accidents. So there's been a number of them over the years. There's Fukushima, there's been nuclear testing in the Marshall Islands. Then of course there was Hiroshima, the bomb dropped in Japan, World War II. There was a Chernobyl accidents. Then there's accidents that we're not aware of. Maybe they don't make the headlines or they're covered up. There's accidents involving nuclear-powered submarines. There's accidents involved with nuclear-powered satellites. And so all this stuff is accumulating in the environment. These radioactive isotopes of cesium and strontium that are released during these events have long half-lives. Cesium lasts for 30 years in the environment, the cesium-137, there's cesium-90. These are radioactive isotopes that also are problematic as well. So hopefully I'm not freezing here. It looks like my screen's acting weird. So in any event, so radiation therapy for certain cancers can also expose people to cesium. And eating fish from the Pacific that's cesium contaminated also can be a problem. And there's also different food sources. So breast milk can contain it, milk, contaminated rice, sake from contaminated rice, mushrooms and other fungus that were exposed, contaminated teas. And there's also the mining and milling of certain ores can release cesium into the environment as well. And radioactive cesium can contaminate plants by falling onto the leaves and then coming to rest on their surface. For example, there were Turkish tea crops that were contaminated by radioactive cesium-137 following the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. And it's also been found that foods that are naturally rich in potassium, like mushrooms and berries, can be contaminated as well because that cesium is displacing the potassium. And then there's cesium in fish. So most seafood is contaminated for various reasons with heavy metals, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, lead, and things of that nature. But there can also be cesium in fish. There's a lot of research showing that tuna that are, spawn in the waters off of Japan then can migrate over to California and the west side of the United States. And so that's definitely a problem. I generally tell people to avoid tuna for that reason, but salmon seem to be okay. Mackerel seem to be okay. Sardines, some of the smaller fish seem to be okay. But, the problem is, we are exposed to cesium in the oceans, in the fish, in contaminated food. And so I don't recommend people to avoid fish, even though it can be contaminated. I recommend more so that people do like a daily detox strategy, take supplements that remove these toxins that we're exposed to in the air, food, and water, because you can't just eliminate fish. You can't just filter your air in your office where you're working. You can't just eliminate certain food groups to reduce your toxin exposure. That is one strategy, but ultimately there's too many sources of ingestion, and there's a lot of ways that we ingest toxins we're not aware of. So it makes more sense to have a sensible daily detox strategy. So that's what I advocate. And there's 300 tons of radioactive cesium or radioactive water containing cesium going into the Pacific Ocean every single day. It's going to affect our food supply. It's going to affect fish and seafood. Cesium has a particularly long half-life of 30.2 years. So it's going to persist into the environment for 30 years. And every day, cesium is being released into the environment because the scientists, they don't know how to stop the release of this radioactive material into our oceans from Fukushima, from Chernobyl, and perhaps other nuclear disasters that have happened. So it's just one of those things that is really, really problematic that I'm trying to inform you guys about, but not to scare you. I still want people eating fish. I just think people need to do a daily detox strategy. So what I recommend to people is to remove cesium from your body. There's only a handful of supplements that do this. So one of them is a form of silica. It's a product that I developed called activated silica. This is a specific type of silica that has a specific chemical formulation to bind onto cesium and other metals and remove them from your body. And so a question I get from a lot of people, well, can I take this type of silica? Can I take horsetail or other things with silica? So no, you can't. So that's unfortunately not a viable solution. It has to be a specific form of silica that's in my activated silica that's going to bind on to trivalent metals and pull them out of your tissues, pull them out of your muscles. And then once you do that, you want to take something like a binder to absorb all the toxins that activated silica is pulling out. It's pulling out cesium, thallium, aluminum, arsenic, tin. It pulls out arsenic, it pulls out a lot of different metals. And then my Citricleanse product will absorb like a sponge all those metals that have been pulled out of the tissues by the activated silica, and it will absorb cesium on its own as well. And so those are really the most powerful supplements on the market to remove cesium. You can also remove cesium with diatomaceous earth. However, I don't recommend diatomaceous earth for detoxification purposes because it is shown, it's very, very sharp. It's like these sharp barbs. It's these ground up fossils. You do not want to take this if you have leaky gut. A lot of people aren't aware they have leaky gut. If you have an autoimmune disease or you have multiple health issues, a lot of food sensitivities, digestive issues, it's very, very likely you have leaky gut. Diatomaceous earth is not in the cards for you because those sharp particles can go through your gut, leak out, get into your bloodstream and cause damage, and tearing and ripping in your bloodstream and your arteries and veins. So we don't want that. I recommend people avoid diatomaceous earth for that reason. But Prussian blue is another substance that will help to detox cesium, but it has its host of problems also. So I think one of the most effective and easiest and least expensive ways to go about detoxing cesium is with my activated silica and my Citricleanse. And so we have a special right now, and you can take 15% off my mitochondria detox by using the code LABOR15 at checkout. We're having a Labor Day sale right now that's coming up. So I'm going to post these links in the comments right now so you guys can take advantage of this. So let's get to some of your questions. I have a few more things to go over here. I'm going to talk about radioactive iodine and things like that. But why don't we get to some of your questions here? So the first question here is, so what can we do, eat, avoid to detox from cesium? So the best way to detox from cesium is with my activated silica. So it's this product here. That's what it looks like. It's activated silica here. That's one of the best. This is the best way, in my opinion, to remove cesium and thallium, which most people test for as well. Thallium is naturally occurring in petroleum deposits. So you're breathing in air, car smog, pollution, you are breathing in thallium. So this detoxes thallium and cesium, which is very important to get rid of both of those. And not a lot of other things detox thallium and cesium. So this is fantastic in that regard. And one thing about cesium and thallium is they're mitochondrial poisons. They poison enzymes that transport nutrients into your mitochondria. So anyone who has chronic fatigue or has been dealing with some level of fatigue for some time, cesium and thallium are very, very likely culprits, always factors in chronic fatigue syndrome. And then you also want to take a binder. You always want to take a binder anytime you're doing any type of detox. My Citricleanse toxin binder is an amazing 3-in-1 detox. It has minerals in the fulvic humic acid in it. It's an amazing detoxifier and anti-inflammatory in and of itself. It has cilantro extract, which gets a lot of different types of metals, nickel and mercury and lead. And it has citrus pectin in it to absorb hundreds of chemicals and dozens of heavy metals. So this is a great detox product in and of itself. And these two products together are what I call the mitochondria detox, because they remove so many different metals that interfere in energy production, in your mitochondrial energy production. So that's called the mitochondria detox. So I left a link here for you guys to remove that, or to get it and take 15% off. And so, Deborah, so are there specific binders like clay that binds to cesium? So I just answered that. The citrus pectin in Citricleanse does bind to cesium and remove it, but you're going to get a much more effective removal of cesium by taking this chelator, which is technically a chelator because it binds on to trivalent metals. It has the best capacity to bind onto trivalent metals, which is this activated silica. Trivalent metals include cesium, thallium, arsenic, aluminum, and tin, but it also gets barium and antimony as well. And next question here. So Jackie, so what about bentonite or zeolite, citrus pectin, Prussian blue, and the diatomaceous earth. That's the only thing I found in the research that actually removes cesium. And the next question here. So Deborah, so does the activated silica or Citricleanse remove other helpful metals like zinc or magnesium or iron? So this activated silica is shown to remove some free floating iron. I think majority of people have iron overload. I think too many people have excess iron in their system, so I wouldn't really be worried about iron so much. The activated silica does not remove zinc or magnesium, and the citrus pectin in my Citricleanse has very, very low removal of minerals. So I don't worry that people are removing zinc or magnesium. With the problem with a lot of binders, which is why I recommend citrus pectin, is that things like activated charcoal or other types of carbon-based binders can remove large amounts of minerals along with metals. They are not selective, they're not discriminatory, and so people can have a large removal of minerals, which we don't want. Minerals are super important for effective detoxification. So we don't, and they're hard to replete also. They can be challenging to raise your levels of minerals. So we don't want to take any type of binder to solve one problem, detox metals, and then create another, remove minerals needed for your body to function properly. So that's why I like the citrus pectin in Citricleanse. Next question here. So Elaine, hi Wendy, it's Elaine. I'm one of your patients. How are you doing? I'm worried about my little granddaughters. Is there anything safe that we can do to help their young bodies detox as they go through this life? So yes, so I created the Citricleanse to be safe for anyone, for young children. The activated silica also, it's all natural. It's a silica. It's a mineral that we actually need. A lot of people are deficient in. So children can take these two products safely. And one thing with working with children, I really like to do Nest Health bioenergetics with them, because that really just facilitates getting their body working best so that it will detox properly. It will detox on its own. So I like to do things where people can be proactive in removing heavy metals from their body. But I'm also a huge advocate of just restoring the body's natural, proper function to maximize detoxification. And so that includes taking minerals as well. And so that's why I added fulvic and humic acid to this. So there's lots and lots of minerals in this product. But I also recommend a product called Healthy Salt to replete minerals as well. And this is one of my favorite detox supplements, because the super high concentration of minerals, this low sodium salt called Healthy Salt, is amazing at pushing metals out of your body. This is a detox in and of itself. Rave reviews for people that are doing their hair mineral analysis, and they're getting tons of movement, tons of metals coming out on their hair tests that they've never seen. Even people that are doing lots and lots of hair mineral analyses that may not really be not seeing the needle move, not seeing a lot of metals come out, maybe kind of disappointed by the slow rate of their progress. They start taking the Healthy Salt and are really surprised by how many metals start coming out. So that's why I recommend it. So my recommendation for kids, Healthy Salt, Nest Health, and then if you want to get a little more aggressive, you can do these two products, like I said, safe for children. And Deborah, so I'm using biocidin and olive leaf to help gut dysbiosis and then working to eradicate candida. Can I do this detox too, or wait? So, you know, you can do the mitochondria detox no matter what your health status, no matter what you're doing currently, because these are very gentle. They can be done even if you are having gut issues or you feel like you have gut dysbiosis. Heavy metals interfere in digestion. Heavy metals kill good gut bacteria. Heavy metals interfere in production of hydrochloric acid. They interfere in production of pancreatic digestive enzymes. So I personally feel that people that have digestive issues do need to detox. And I don't see any reason to wait simply because you're trying to clean up your gut or improve your digestion in some way or eradicate parasites. The body will allow parasites and candida to proliferate when there's presence of mercury and other metals in the gut, because they clean up and eat metals. So I find that by, you can't just bring down the parasite and candida load. Many times it will return. The body will allow these infections to proliferate because it needs it to bring down the metal load in the body. So detox and parasite and candida removal need to be done congruently to be the most effective. So that's why so many people do candida cleanses and remove parasites, and then 2 months later it's back and they're like, I just did a cleanse, like what is the deal? And I certainly experienced this, and just over time I learned that that's why. So don't wait, you can start a detox at any time. So let's see. So do your products remove uranium and gadolinium? So yes. So the Citricleanse does remove uranium and gadolinium. But gadolinium is also removed by zeolites. And so that is also shown in the research to remove gadolinium. Uranium EDTA also removes that. That's probably the most effective supplement to get rid of uranium, but the Citricleanse also shown to remove both of those as well. Next question here. Oh, we have lots of them. Great. So Renee, so will this affect electrolytes? No, it doesn't. So citrus pectin does not remove electrolytes. It's simply a fiber. It does not reduce mineral levels. And so, but no matter what detox you're doing, I do recommend taking minerals, because minerals are such an important part of detoxification. And my Citricleanse has the citrus pectin in it, but it also has added minerals in the form of fulvic and humic acid. So this is actually mineralizing your body while you're taking a binder. So it's not something you really have to worry about. It's not going to be disrupting or absorbing your electrolytes in any way at all. So Iona, so what do you think about nanozeolites like TRS, for instance? Well, they have their place. So it just really depends on what heavy metals that you have. I don't recommend people take zeolites long-term because it can deplete zinc and deplete copper. And you may have a metal that zeolites don't remove. So I give zeolites depending on what metals people have based on testing. So you don't want to just start taking certain things like zeolites, which can be strong, unless you know that they're targeting the toxins that you have. And so with zeolites are great, and I give them on a regular basis to clients that have these metals. And so I'll just bring this up really quick. So zeolites are amazing at removing definitely aluminum, big one, antimony, arsenic, barium, cadmium, cesium, cobalt, copper, gadolinium, gold even. Some people have gold caps or fillings that are creating problems for them. Lead, mercury, manganese, nickel, and tin, and uranium. So zeolites, including TRS, which is just a synthetic zeolite, is a very good product. On Cyto Detox, because it is a liposomal and it's been triple cleaned and it's small particle size, so it really gets into your cell and kind of cleans things up. But again, it depends on what heavy metals that you have. So you want to take supplements targeted for what metals you have, so you're not wasting your time or money or causing imbalances by the side effects that detox supplements can have. And so next question here, Renee, so will a couple of months of detox be enough for a good amount of time, or do we need to do this every single day? So 2 months is a great start. The reality is, however, that because we have been exposed to toxins for decades, we've been ingesting this stuff for decades in the air, food and water, mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, cesium, thallium, you're probably not going to make a massive dent in 2 months. The closer reality is that we need 6, 12, even 18 and 24 months, depending on your health status. The sicker somebody is, the longer they're going to have to work at detox. Sometimes people, they just have a large amount of toxins in their body, or they have roadblocks to detox, like that they have to address first in order to detox as efficiently as possible. Some people have to replete minerals or very mineral deficient. Some people are really sensitive to EMF, and we've got to address that because their body just isn't working because the EMF. Some people have severe emotional trauma that we have to address before their body can really work correctly. So there's a lot of different roadblocks that I work on with people to maximize their body's ability to detox. So that timeline is different for every person. But, the mitochondria detox I develop really starts working for people within, 30, 60 days. We call it, a 30-day detox, and that's a great start. And if you get results after 60 days, yes, I encourage you to keep going, because even if you take a couple months out and you really focus in and hone in on detoxification, you're still exposed every day to toxins. You're still, usually putting on the deodorant, even though you're not supposed to, because you don't want to perspire at work, or you're using a cleaner that you shouldn't be because you like the smell of it, or whatever. You're using bleach in the laundry, or you're just getting exposed to toxins. You're getting your nails done or your hair done, or, people pick their poison, and we get exposed inadvertently no matter what we try to control in our environment. So you need to really be thinking about a lifelong detoxification strategy and making good choices as good as you can, and employing detoxification supplements and protocols in your already healthy health regimen. So adding coffee enemas to help liver function, adding infrared saunas, adding detoxification supplements that you can do on a regular basis. And so that's what I recommend, that, I want to set realistic expectations. And the reality of modern life today is, we need to really be thinking about this on an ongoing basis, long-term. So Iona, Iona is a pronunciation. Can Citricleanse be used along with nanozeolites like TRS? Absolutely. I wouldn't take them at the same time. What I would do is, with the Citricleanse, with this product, you want to take it about 30 to 60 minutes away from food and supplements, definitely an hour away from medications. And that would also include zeolites. You want to take it, about 30 to 60 minutes away from zeolites, but they can be taken concurrently, absolutely, for a great broad spectrum detox for sure. And so next question here. So Deborah, thanks, Wendy and Jackie, my pleasure. So Jackie, so how do we take the Citricleanse? So what I do is, first thing when I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee. I love coffee. So I brew a fresh cup of purity coffee, and I take a little bit of that, little tiny amount, and I put 1 scoop of the Citricleanse in that, mix it up, and I drink that down, and then I drink the rest of my coffee. I don't put it in the whole coffee because I find it just kind of congregates at the bottom, and then maybe sometimes I don't always finish my coffee. So I just take a little bit in the beginning and drink it down with that. And if you are on a heavy duty detox and you have a lot of detox symptoms and brain fog and you're not feeling good, you can take another dose. You can take, 1 or 2 more doses throughout the day. So you can do a total of 2 to 3 scoops, which are 5 milligram scoops, throughout the day. And so that is a great kind of detox strategy so many of my clients employ. Is if they're having detox symptoms, they need more binders. So you shouldn't be experiencing detox symptoms when you're in a binder. They're also called Herxheimer reactions. If you're experiencing those, you're either not taking enough of a binder, or you are your body isn't really ready for the level of detox you're putting it through. So sometimes at the sign you need to kind of slow down, take your foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But I recommend people take another scoop of the Citricleanse first to see if that doesn't do the trick, if that doesn't avoid the culprit that's causing people's symptoms. So the next question here. So Renee Rubach, what is EDTA? I see it in so many things. So EDTA is like a synthetic sulfur. It's an amino acid that helps to chelate, pull out, grab metals out of your tissues, your bones and your fat and your other tissues, soft tissues in your body, in your nervous system. And EDTA is amazing at removing lead and cadmium. Cadmium causes more cancers than all of the other metals combined. So that's a big factor in smokers developing cancer and people smoking lots of marijuana. They get lots of cadmium from that too. You get cadmium in shellfish and fish as well, where you find mercury. You also typically find cadmium. So EDTA is amazing. That's what I give all my clients that have cadmium and lead toxicity. But EDTA is also really effective for also removing aluminum. It also will remove things like beryllium. Some people have that. It also removes gadolinium, and it will get a little bit of iron. It will get manganese, which some people have toxicity from drinking well water, and it will also get uranium. And so those are the uses for uranium, for EDTA. Some people do, some doctors do IV chelation of EDTA, but you can get the same effect at home, much cheaper, taking something called Detox. It's a supplement we have in the Myers Detox store, and it's a suppository you can insert rectally, and 3 of those has the same clinical benefit detox effect as 1 session of IV EDTA chelation. So it's not something for I give everyone. Everyone is different in what they can tolerate, in what metals they have, but it definitely has a place for a lot of people on their detox journey. And so let's see. So Renee, so when buying this today, is this only a 1 month supply? Yes. So these 2 products together, it's about a 1 month supply. This bottle will probably last you a couple of months, and this will last you about 30 days if you take it every day on a daily basis. So this tends to last a little bit longer. And some people also can't do the 10 drops a day that's recommended. They can only do like 2 or 5 or 8. So you have to go at the rate that works for you. So it'll last longer if you can't take the recommended 10 drops a day. And let's see. So Deborah, one last question. I have hypothyroid and constipation, although I usually have movements once a day or every other day. So wondering if it will be safe. So don't want to stir up toxins if they aren't moving through fast enough. So that brings up a very good point. You want to make sure your detox pathways are clear before you're doing any type of detox. So coffee enemas are amazing. I did mine today. I took my leftover coffee grounds and I put them in some boiling water and made some coffee enema coffee and did that and feel amazing right now, which I usually do after doing a coffee enema because you're purging your liver. You're kind of wringing out that liver and helping it to expel its toxic contents so it can get to the next batch. And so I love coffee enemas in that way, especially if you experience constipation on a regular basis. You do not want to be just, allow that to continue until you can figure out what the problem is and correct it. Coffee enemas are a great way to not constipation, which is reabsorbing toxins that are in your fecal matter. And other ways to alleviate constipation, drinking more water, maybe adding things to it that enhance absorption of water. Many times people are drinking enough water, but they're not actually absorbing it. So adding something like this Crystal Energy is great. You can get that on Amazon. I add about 10 drops to every glass of water I drink. It increases absorption. I also love healthy salt. Like I said, you have to have minerals to retain water. So this is great. I add a pinch to this to every glass, a little tiny pinch to every glass of water I drink. Also, game changer, absolute hydration game changer. So that's really important for constipation as well. And so to get to your question, yes, you can take the Citricleanse and activated silica, even if you deal with constipation, because the binder in this, the citrus pectin in this, binds to toxins and you urinate them out. So this product's entry point is through your urine. So it's okay if you have constipation, it will bypass this. But ultimately, you do want to address that as best you can. Some people do get constipation with the Citricleanse, usually if they're not drinking enough water, because it is a fiber. And when you're taking any kind of fiber, you need to add water to it. So really, really important to drink lots of water, and water that's actually hydrating you when you're doing any type of detox. So hope that answers your question. So next question here. So Deborah, I'm hypersensitive to caffeine, so coffee enemas worry me. So you can also just do water enemas just to clear out the colon. So some people, they just don't metabolize caffeine super, super slow. Some people just have that lottery in their liver genetics. They just don't process caffeine fast enough, and those are the caffeine sensitive people. I find that even if you're caffeine sensitive, some people can do a coffee enema and just use a tiny, tiny little amount of caffeine, just a tiny amount, maybe even like 1/8 of a teaspoon in a big bucket of water, maybe a couple quarts of water, because you only need the amount of caffeine that elicits a response in your body. You don't need 2 heaping tablespoons or a ton of coffee if you are sensitive. So you may be just fine with just a tiny little amount and boil that, and it's not going to give you a ton of coffee. The coffee enema coffee is very, very diluted. And so that may be the answer for you that may be worth trying. So Deborah, so I do mag citrate, psyllium fiber, and water. I find psyllium fibers very constipating. You need a massive amount of water to help the psyllium fiber go through your system. So I think I would stick to the mag citrate, and maybe try some other things like oxy powder by Global Healing Center is a great way to relieve constipation as well. And so I would probably skip the psyllium fiber personally, because if you take that psyllium fiber and you put it in a glass of water and like put a spoon in that, just do an experiment, it turns into cement. Okay. And so that's what it's doing in your colon. So the psyllium fiber could be aggravating your constipation actually. So Jackie, so I like aloe vera juice and slippery elm. Yeah, those are great also. Those are fantastic. So I'll wait for you guys to give me a few more questions here. So what we were going over on this talk was we were discussing, and so if you missed any part of this broadcast, you can start it over. As soon as I'm done talking, Facebook will start it over. You can find it on facebook.com/Myers Detox. And you can start it from the beginning. And then we also post this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Wendy Myers. So what I talked about during this whole time is the recent Russian nuclear accident and how it's impacting your thyroid and health. You know, why Russia is covering up the severity of the latest nuclear accident, and how Norway has found traces of radioactive iodine 1 week after the Russian nuclear accident, how radioactive cesium and radioactive iodine are impacting your thyroid and health, symptoms of cesium toxicity, which is released during nuclear accidents that include cramps, why most people I test have cesium, and how to remove cesium from your body. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, let's see, a couple things here. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on iodine, so radioactive iodine. And let me get to my notes here. So one little just side note, you know, because there's still so much cesium pouring into the oceans daily after the Fukushima disaster site, it's feared that all of the world's oceans could become contaminated with cesium. So I would caution you to test for cesium, which is found in a urine test. So we'll post a link to that for anyone that wants to get a urine test. That's how you find cesium. A hair amount analysis also indirectly will show us if you have cesium. If you have really low potassium, that's a sign of thallium and or cesium toxicity, because cesium and thallium block potassium channels in the body. So if you have super low potassium, which is the K, on a hair mineral analysis or HTMA, that's the telltale sign of thallium and cesium toxicity. It's an indirect indicator. So I urge people to test for cesium, especially if you suffer from cramps and fatigue and cramps resistant to magnesium and potassium supplementation. Like they're still happening even if you're taking those. Those are supposed to stop the cramps. But I listed a whole host of symptoms, also heart palpitations, low thyroid function, hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, any kind of thyroid cancers can be caused by cesium as well. So let's talk about radioactive iodine in your thyroid. So it was reported on CNN that the Norwegian Radiation and Nuclear Safety Authority on Thursday, last Thursday, said tiny amounts of radioactive iodine had been detected at an air filter station 1 week after the mystery-shrouded explosion at a military missile test range, that happened on August 8th. And we suspect, or I suspect, there was a nuclear accident that happened. Could have happened from missile testing or what have you, but there was some sort of nuclear accident or event that happened based on the spikes in radiation that have happened around the area. And so radioactive iodine, which is iodine-131, is a byproduct of energy production in a nuclear reactor. And it has a half-life of 8 days, luckily. So it can only do damage in a short period of time. But it's also used to destroy the thyroid medically when someone has a hyperthyroid, they have Graves' disease, or they have thyroid cancer. I mean, I think these are pretty barbaric treatments. I don't think anyone should have radioactive iodine if they have a hyperthyroid or a Graves' disease, because that can be reversed through a lot of different natural means. Thyroid cancer is another issue. Sometimes people have cancer, they have to remove that, and radioactive iodine is one way to do that. And so in the case of the Chernobyl disaster, when radioactive iodine-131 was released into the air, it got into the human body through breathing it in, through eating contaminated leafy vegetables, or drinking contaminated milk from goats or cows grazing on contaminated grass. And so with such an intake, up to a third of all the radioactive iodine in the body will end up in the thyroid gland, because the thyroid gland takes in the iodine thinking it's going to make T3 or T4 out of it. T3 is 3 molecules of iodine, T4 is 4 molecules of iodine. So it takes it in hoping to make thyroid molecules. And unfortunately, as the radioactive iodine decays, it emits radiation and destroys the thyroid tissue and nearby tissue. And then as a consequence, immune cells flock to the thyroid gland to clean up the dead cells. And among the cell debris are TPO and TG, which are thyroid antibodies. So the entire site of the cell debris becomes inflamed. Then immune cells start their cleanup. And from that point on, they have a memory of TPO and TG protein sequences and will attack them as an enemy for years to come, even up to 15 years after exposure to this radiation. And so there's a huge occurrence of autoimmune thyroid disease. I think it's due to these radioactive isotopes, including iodine, that are being released into the environment. So even though the iodine-131 half-life is short, it was released in really high doses from the destroyed nuclear reactor in Chernobyl for about 40 days after the accident. And it took about 7 months for it to decay to a safe level of radiation. And this amount of time was enough to cause major thyroid problems for years and years to come. After the Chernobyl disaster, an increase in thyroid nodules, elevated anti-TPO and anti-TG antibodies were reported. More underactive thyroid cases were reported in people living in the most affected areas of the Ukraine, Belarus, and parts of Russia. And exposure to radioactive fallout from Chernobyl caused a big increase in the number of cases of childhood and adult thyroid cancer in the Ukraine, Belarus, and parts of Russia as well. So all of these nuclear accidents happening around the world, and accidents that we don't hear of, that we aren't not newsworthy or don't make the news or covered up. This release of cesium and radioactive iodine, radioactive strontium into the environment play a huge toll or play a huge role in negatively affecting your health and play a role in our decreased thyroid function so many people are dealing with today. And like I said, I had cesium on my tests. I have removed it with this activated silica. My thyroid works so much better than it did in the past. I definitely have much, much better thyroid labs than I did in the past. And I attribute that to removing cesium and removing mercury also, which inhibits thyroid function. So I personally believe that it's not, it's iodine deficiency is playing a big role in lowered thyroid function, but it's also due to cesium, it's due to mercury and other heavy metals in our environment, in addition to chlorine and fluoride, which compete with iodine uptake in the thyroid as well. So a lot of different things working against proper thyroid function. That's why so many people have thyroid issues, and why thyroid medication is one of the #1 prescribed medications. So as you can see, the answer to fixing your thyroid isn't as simple as just replacing thyroid hormone. There's lots you can do to remove things inhibiting production of thyroid hormones and get the thyroid producing higher thyroid hormones on its own and working naturally, working properly how it's supposed to. So let's see. So let's get into this a little bit more and some of your questions. So Debbie, what would be a good binder for uranium? So zeolites are great. The Citricleanse, my Citricleanse, also a great binder as well. Zeolite's kind of a binder / chelator, but those both work great for uranium, as well as EDTA suppositories like Detox. And so Renee, so iodine and thyroid issues, how does that work in the body? Do we need to add iodine? I find that most people are iodine deficient. So if you're not eating seafood for various reasons, if you're not eating seaweed, where are you getting iodine in the diet? Most people are not eating a ton of seafood. Most people are not eating any seaweed whatsoever for various reasons. So I recommend people take at least 300 micrograms per day of iodine. I really like Lugol's iodine. It has 2 forms of iodine in it, which, because the body uses different forms of iodine for different things. So I'm recommending Lugol's now for that reason. It has potassium iodide, and which will push radioactive iodine out of your thyroid if you're exposed to it. And it also has another form of iodine as well, which is great. But there's many different forms of iodine. I don't recommend getting it directly from seaweed, because if it's not the seaweed isn't standardized for iodine, you don't know how much iodine you're getting. You're probably not getting enough just eating a little bit of seaweed here and there or putting it in bone broth. So I recommend at least 300 micrograms. The Japanese eat 5,000 and 6,000 micrograms per day. So I recommend people start with a small amount per day, work your way up. I generally recommend people are getting like 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000 micrograms per day. But again, working up to that slowly, because when you start getting iodine, people can kind of get sleep issues or anxiety or heart palpitations because their thyroid's like, ooh, starts making thyroid hormones with that iodine. So it's you want to start slow with that and see how you react. Some people start losing their hair from iodine. Some people iodine doesn't work for them. Everyone's different. So you just want to keep an eye on iodine when you start taking it. So next question here. So Renee, so what if I take thyroid supplement medication? Do I still need to add iodine? Yes, your body needs iodine for other reasons. It's not just your thyroid. You need it to clear, help with your breast. If you have fibrocystic breasts, iodine will clear that up. So you need it for your lymph in your breast to work properly. Lots and lots of other uses in the body for iodine. Very important to supplement it with it every single day. And I recommend it to all my clients. Even if they have Hashimoto's. If you have Hashimoto's, it doesn't mean you don't need iodine. It just you just want to start slow and see how you do. I don't personally think you can really reverse Hashimoto's without taking iodine. You do need iodine for your thyroid to work, to make thyroid hormones, but you have other nutritional needs in your body for iodine as well. So that's about it. I talked a lot about cesium toxicity. I recommend that people take something to remove cesium, remove thallium, remove other metals in our bodies that are interfering in energy production and mitochondrial function. I think a lot of people are tired today, are not producing the amount of energy their body is capable of. Cesium is a culprit, thallium is a culprit, arsenic is a culprit, aluminum is a culprit, and these can all be removed with my mitochondria detox, which entail these two products, so Citricleanse and activated silica. So you can get these 15% off. We're having a huge Labor Day blowout sale right now. So you can get those on this page that I just posted right here. And you can use the coupon code LABOR15 to get 15% off. So it's probably the best deal we ever offered for. So check that out. Lots of other good deals on this page. So we're running this huge sale all week this week leading up to Labor Day. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your time and your precious attention and your caring about detoxification and trying to find out what's going on with you, what's causing your symptoms. I assure you heavy metals are a contributing factor. And that's why I'm very passionate about what I do, very firm believer in removing heavy metals from the body as that missing piece in the puzzle a lot of people aren't doing. And that's why they're not getting the results that they want in their health. So thanks for tuning in. My name is Wendy Myers of MyersDetox.com. Go check that out. I've got MyersDetox.com. I'm coming up on podcast number 300. And we have hundreds of articles, hundreds of podcasts, hundreds of free information on there. So thanks so much for tuning in. I feel so blessed every day to do what I love and I'm so passionate about. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you miss any part of this, it will start over on Facebook, facebook.com/MyersDetox, and it'll be up very, very shortly on YouTube, youtube.com/Wendy Myers. Talk to you guys soon.